My name is Naomi Greer. I'm Associate Director of Corporate Communications at the Clorox Company. I've been with the company for a little over 5 years, and I'm going to be entering the 5th year as project manager for the integrated report just in the next couple of months.
And my name is Andrea Rudert, Associate Director of Corporate Responsibility, and I've been at Clorox for nearly 4 years. As part of my role, I support Naomi with the development of the annual report content with a focus on corporate responsibility and also performance. And then I also lead the independent assurance, third-party assurance process of our key non-financial metrics, and we're going to be talking about that today in the webinar.
Thanks. All right. So, let's see if that works.
Having some technical difficulties.
There we go. There you go. Click in your screen. Yeah, there you go.
Great. Okay. Sorry about that. So just before we launch into a conversation about our integrated report, just wanted to give folks a little bit of background on the company. You may all be familiar with our name, but you may not know that much more about our company. We started right here in the Bay Area 105 plus years ago, almost 106. All started with 5 entrepreneurs who chipped in $100 each to start making bleach. And the reason they were located in the Bay Area is because of the presence of salt marshes in the San Francisco Bay. Salt water is used to make bleach. It's a fun fact. Bleach starts and ends as salt, something that a lot of people may not actually starts and ends as sodium chloride, common table salt, something that not everyone is aware of. Bleach has been used as a disinfectant in homes, in hospitals, in schools for over 100 years. And it also plays an important role when there are global pandemics, as well as following natural disasters, because bleach can kill germs that can make people sick. So since 1913, Clorox has grown into a $6.1 billion company. We have facilities in more than 25 countries and territories. Our products are sold in over 100 global markets, and we have 8,700 employees worldwide. Another thing you might not be aware of is that we have a large portfolio of products beyond our namesake Clorox cleaning products. These products our brands can be found in 9 of 10 US households, and they are either #1 or #2 market share in their categories in both the US and internationally. So as we started our expansion into health and wellness, which really started in force about 10 years ago, when we acquired Burt's Bees in 2007 and launched Greenworks in 2008, we became even more visible to external stakeholders. And what we realized is that there was an opportunity for us to share more of our story. As this evolved, we were able to integrate our business strategy with our corporate responsibility strategy. And what that resulted in was something that we call Good Growth. It's a platform that combines business and CR, and it means profitable, sustainable, and responsible growth. I'm going to turn it over to Andrea, who's going to talk a little bit more about our CR journey.
Lean in a little bit here. So this journey toward the growth has really been, it's been over a decade in the making. So again, it starts out with our Burt's Bees acquisition and then our launch of Greenworks. And then And then in 2008, we introduced our first eco strategy. And then 2009, we became the first major CPG company to voluntarily disclose ingredients in our cleaning, disinfecting, laundry products in the US and in Canada. So this same year, 2009, is when we internally formalized our first corporate responsibility strategy, which we announced in 2010, along with our first CSR report and our first corporate responsibility web pages on our corporate website. So 2011 was the big year that we published the first integrated annual report with the guidance and support of IIRC using GRI guidelines. Then in 2012, we refreshed our eco strategy. And then in 2015, we became signatories of the UN Global Compact, which brings us to today. So looking forward to our next goal period of 2025, we are in the process of refreshing our corporate responsibility strategy. So like any big company, we have a very diverse group of stakeholders, each of which has their own preference for communications and transparency, which clearly creates a bit of it's a quandary for us. And so while we had a very good understanding that, like on Wall Street, we have a good reputation for transparency and solid communications, what we didn't really know at the time, many years ago, was how do our other stakeholders perceive us? And so we conducted a reputation assessment. And the results were a little bit surprising. As you can see with the communications and transparency, there's definitely opportunity for improvement and to address some of these credibility gaps out there with our various stakeholders.
So against this backdrop of our expansion into the health and wellness space and a recognition that there was an opportunity for us to communicate more about our business with our external stakeholders, we became the first US company in the consumer packaged goods industry to adopt a holistic, integrated approach to reporting in 2011. So what characterizes our approach? Well, first off, it's global and cross-functional. Corporate communications leads the effort, but we pretty much touch every function across our organization, starting with legal and finance, but we also touch HR, marketing. Our eco team is integral to our strategy, to our approach. Our product supply organization is very involved. So it's not just something that we do in isolation. It's something that that is touching every part of our organization. Secondly, it reflects an emphasis on ESG in both the breadth and the depth of our organization. So as I mentioned, this is in terms of the breadth of the organization. This is a very cross-functional global effort. But also, interestingly, this involves everyone in the organization, from an associate in one of our plants on up to our CEO and our board of directors. Another thing that characterizes our approach is the use of universal reporting standards and third-party assurance. Obviously, we adhere to the GRI reporting standards. We have since the beginning. We adopt the principles of IIRC, and we also have been using third-party assurance since the very beginning. And those two things, the universal reporting standards and the use of third-party assurance, just provides an added layer of credibility to our report. So in terms of implementation of our IR strategy, this is our 2011 report. This is the cover, and this is the scorecard that we used. This marked the first time that we went from solely financial reporting to the integration of financial performance with our other non-financial metrics. And the scorecard is one of the more popular elements of our report. We still have it to this day. And as you can see, it just provides a snapshot of our performance across our business. Before we take a closer look at the content of the report, I wanted to just explain the various elements of the report that we produce, just multiple formats. First off, we do a printed executive summary of our report. And also, we make available online the executive summary in both English and Spanish. Next, we have an online PDF of a full report, and that is a much more in-depth report. It tends to be, I think our executive summary is 24 pages, and our full report is close to 75 or 80 pages. So it's much more in-depth look at our performance. And then lastly, we have a microsite, and that just provides a more interactive experience for our stakeholders. So let's take a closer look at the content of our latest annual report. So this is our splash page, which introduces this year's theme, which is What's in a Brand. And as you scroll down, you also are introduced to the narrative of the report. And then that transitions to our CEO letter. And that highlights how we have delivered value through our business and CR initiatives. And the first thing that we highlight in our report is our strategy, which is a foundational element of our annual report, and just kind of introduces the basic elements of the strategy. We have 4 areas of our strategy. We also talk about our long-term aspirations and our operating model, just basically the factors that influence our business success. And there are a couple of ways to go into more detail of our strategy, either through links here or through a link at the bottom of the page. And each strategy area is similar in how we approach it. So I will just open up the strategy 4, which is fund growth. And basically what we do is we highlight both our current year and our current year business and corporate responsibility accomplishments. You can see those here in bullet points. And one of the things that we introduced recently was a progress update. And what that is kind of a longer term look at our progress for our entire strategy period. So you're not looking at our accomplishments in isolation, you're looking at them over time. So fund growth, our corporate responsibility area or accomplishments, we have our operational footprint reduction falls under strategy 4. And we have several areas that we focus on. We have goal areas, reducing energy use, reducing GHG emissions, reducing waste to landfill, and water use. And so let me just give you an idea of how we are highlighting our progress against our goal. So we just have this introductory language, This is our goal, is to reduce water use by 20% during our goal period. And then we have our results to date, which is 22%. And then we show how we've reduced water use during the goal period. So we started in calendar year 2012. This is against our 2011 baseline year. And this shows how we've exceeded our goal in actually as of calendar year 2016. And we continue to make reductions. Okay. So after our strategy area, we have our innovation highlights. And the reason we have a special section on innovation is because it's a very important focus area within our strategy. So we choose to highlight it in a special section. And as you see here, these are product launches for fiscal year 2018. Innovation is something that not only is highlighted in the special section, but as you'll see in a second, is also in our scorecard. We measure our innovation as a percentage of incremental sales. It is one of the things that we measure every year. So in our scorecard, this is the element that we talked about earlier, which is a really popular element of our report. And the first section of the scorecard just provides a company overview, just facts and figures, sales, how many countries we do business in, how many employees, and this is a more detailed information about our sales. And in this section here, this is areas where we do business, our country and territory operations, and has this fun feature where you can actually look at, focus on plants, and you'll see all of the countries where we have plants, and same thing with any of these types of facilities. So you can see those places where we have administrative or sales offices. So the heart of our scorecard is where we highlight our both our financial and non-financial metrics in one place. And so as you can see, we have our performance metrics, which is our financial. And then we also have product metrics, people metrics, and these are our metrics for our community impact. And lastly, our planet metrics. And what this scorecard does is just kind of provide a snapshot of our business overall. Okay. For our recognitions, we have both our company and our brand recognitions, and their business and CR accomplishments under recognitions. See, go to our brand recognitions. You see those here. Next, we have our financial statements. And as you'll see, these are collapsible. And in this section, all of these show our financial statements. And also in this section, we have our non-financial information, which is the report that we get from our partner who does our assurance. And this is our schedule of selected quantitative performance indicators. And these are all of the areas that are assured. And so you can kind of you can actually look at this list and see information, and it's just an overview of all of the assured data points. just a little bit more detailed information on how they go about that process and what they're looking at. Okay. And governance. What we include here is just highlights of our leadership in adopting good governance practices. And this section also includes a list of our board of directors and our senior management team. In our resources section, we have about this report, which basically introduces the audience to the principles that we follow. We have our materiality overview, and that is just something that we refer to as our corporate responsibility priorities, so that there's no confusion with financial materiality. And this is just highlights the priorities that we have in corporate responsibility. And the section also includes our GRI content index, which, as we mentioned earlier, has incorporated our UNGC principles as well. And then we have stockholder information. And lastly, in the download section, we have the formats, the multiple formats that we talked about earlier. This is the full PDF that you can download, as well as the executive summary in English and in Spanish. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Andrea to talk about the impact of integrated reporting, where we are today, and where we're going.
So as Naomi switches back, I'll tease up the next slide. And the big question is, so after we published this report, did it actually help us achieve our goals, right? And so we did do a couple of surveys following the report, and as you can see here, all very positive outcomes. 26% of people surveyed were more likely to invest in Clorox after reading the report. 46% were more likely to recommend our products. And I think the data that really surprised me was the fact that 56% of people were more likely to actually purchase our products. That's pretty, that's a very positive surprise. So in 2014, 5 years after our initial reputation assessment, we ran another one, and as you can see here, our main metric that was 22% increased twofold, and that's fantastic news. Obviously, there's a lot of work still to be done, but I think overall, most of the metrics point upward following our integrated reports. So where we are today, we are now entering our 8th year of publishing integrated annual reports. Naomi's very excited to start that process again. In our fiscal year 2016, we added the materiality assessment that Naomi had shown you during the walkthrough, and we also committed to the United Nations Global Compact. And so I think it's preaching to the choir to try to convince you all that there are lots of benefits of integrated reporting. I think we really appreciate the fact that it really emphasizes the long-term sustainable value of the company, and not just financial. And then it also encourages more holistic business thinking across our company, and I think that's something we're really trying to drive as we look forward to 2025. Speaking of which, so we are now working on the 2025 strategy, and I think climate change is going to be a continuing, ongoing priority, as is waste reduction. Waste reduction is something that's very important to all the CPG industry, and with a particular focus on product packaging sustainability. Also, focusing on human rights and supply chain transparency is very important. So I think we're going to continue to really focus on those in the future. Another big trend that we're focusing on is just understanding the connection between what's the societal impact to our business ambitions. So really, and that's an area that's, I think it's really exciting. It's evolving. It's impact assessment, and so there's a lot of work being done in that field in general.